just cut the beginning part and set up and just go.
I think we're recording now, so cool.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
All right.
Good
Awesome.
evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us as always. It's been a little while since our last AMA update, so we figured there's been so many plates been spinning in the background. The team has been literally pedaling at full capacity. The poor bike is broken. So with so much going on, we felt it was about time that we provided you guys basically the full download on what's going on in the background. So we are going to be covering off both live sites. And also discussing kind of sort of wider operational stuff as well. But we know that that Paraguay has been quite a warm and interesting conversation for many in the Discord. So we felt that it would be only right to start here. So when it comes to Paraguay, I think the most common question that we get in the Discord is always around shipment. So we felt that we would start the agenda point on that exact area. So Joe, you have lived and breathed shipping manifests, communications with a multitude of people. I guess the Discord's biggest question is, where are we at?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you for making it. And thank you for keeping up and paying attention. It's not easy. So to answer that question, all of our shipments are in Paraguay. Every single thing we've shipped. I'm sorry?
I was just saying, let's go, finally.
Oh. Yeah, so I think, without too much qualifications, we all sort of understand why it took this long. I guess the delay surprised all of us equally. And I think with facing opportunities that are extremely lucrative compared to the market, we will expose ourselves to risks, mainly being these delays, which at the end of the day, I think the integrity of the machines are the number one priority. And we've seen all the machines. We have audited all the machines, and the machines have finally all gotten there to the warehouses in Paraguay. We have about 2 megawatts of these machines. So the total capacity of these machines is right above 3.5 megawatts. That's about 947 machines in total that are in Paraguay. We are now in the process of putting them all in the same place so that the next step would be unboxing, installing, and racking them. So shipments, we have nothing in transit so far. Well, we have one client stuff that is on the way because it was a recent order. But besides that, we have pretty much halted orders to Paraguay until we get everything else that's already been sent there and running. Okay. So, JT, should I move on to the next item on the agenda?
Sorry, I was sitting there talking, and I've realised I pressed the mute on the actual microphone itself. So I'm sitting there conversing with you, and it's not working. So I've figured out how to unmute it. So shipments all being well. Shipments to site, brilliant. But operationally, how are we getting on? Because there's obviously a lot of components in play when it comes to a mining operation. So where are we at in terms of the infrastructure itself? Let's start there. Like what infrastructure is in place currently?
Yeah, so the infrastructure in place. So we actually worked in parallel because we were not sure where we were going to get our energy first. So we've built about 4 megawatts worth of infrastructure in a site we just colloquially refer to as Site 1. 15 minutes away from Site 1, we have a warehouse. So it's more traditional infrastructure for hosting miners. Over there, it has 8 megawatts. So in total, we do have access to about 12 megawatts in terms of infrastructure. Now, what's been the holdup operationally is in order for us to use the energy, the local energy company has to give us the heads up and then tell us it's okay to use. All the documentation has to be filed, and then they have to come out to both sites or whichever site we're going to start using, and they have to install fuses and install meters and then tell us, give us the green light. Now, this has all actually been done before. but this was done previous to an administrative change that happened with that energy company. So I guess when some of the local governance changed, then all of the people that were inside that company, they also had to change. So the documents that were signed all the way in April of this year had to be renewed. And with any transition, there's a delay. And so there was a pretty long delay in getting those documents reconciled, putting new names on it, and then having them come out, inspect all over again, give a permit all over again. And by the way, they actually have to remove the fuses and remove the meters and then reinstall all of them under a new permit. So that has taken a long time. And in the process of doing this, we've had a lot of communication and a lot of information that was sort of lost in transmission. So we were struggling not only with the local energy company, but with our partners down there and reconciling all of the understandings and making sure everything is exactly the same. And so that's sort of what the delay has been. Now, the most recent delay was getting them to come out. So the local energy company to come out and actually install the meters again. That was done last week. So right now, the energy is just around the corner. The next step is we need to pay deposits. Now, this is sort of where the tricky situation is because when we had first negotiated these contracts early this year, our deposits were very clear. We were going to pay somewhere in the realm of $70,000 per megawatt, right? Now they are asking for about 105,000 per megawatt. And this is because they have made some upgrades to their wires. And in this time period where we're renewing our documentation, they also went and they had to upgrade the substation. They changed the wires. So they did a few things. And it seems like because they've done all that work, they want to pass on that cost in the form of deposits for whoever's using that energy, which makes sense, but at the same time does not meet the expectations that this contract was based on. Now, if you know anything about, doing business abroad, you really don't have that much leverage. You kind of hope that you're working with people who are going to work with you because there's no strong arming anybody, right? They can just as easily say, okay, we'll go find somewhere else. And the reality is we are cornered. We don't show our cards, but we are cornered, right? We have almost 4 megawatts of machines there. Some of them have been there for over a month. The rest just got here a week ago. So we really need to just get things online. And so our intentions is to work with them, but right now we're trying to see if there's a way to meet in the middle, right? Regardless, I think them asking for deposits is the best case scenario because that means all the documentation, all of the installations required to utilize the energy has been completed. The final step is the money, and while the money is important, it's not going to be the biggest problem. So we're now just working on how much we're going to have to pay in deposits, try to negotiate that so that it's reconciled and closest to our expectations as possible. And we are expecting next week or the week after energy goes online. Now, the best case scenario is everything goes online at the same time. That's about 3.7, 3.8 megawatts. The most likely case scenario, again, depending on what the situation is with the deposits, the most likely case scenario would be getting at least a third or half online, and then within 3 weeks getting the rest online. Now, we want to avoid any further delays, so we're going to try our best to make it work. But again, just being as transparent as possible, we may have some delays for a part of the shipment coming online. So that's sort of the situation we're in, and we'll keep everybody updated. And I will say, for the rates that we're paying, the people over there are not really flexible. So we've secured a rate from 3.8 to 4.5, and we've done that because it's contractual. They actually tried to restructure even the terms, and they wanted us to pay 4.8 starting. So we would be paying anywhere from 5 to like 6, which right now in Paraguay, if you're looking at the actual rates from the moment we actually got there to what people are paying, what new clients are paying now, the rates have gone up by about 2 cents. So they know that our deal is too good, and to an extent, they're sort of using that against us. They're weaponizing the service terms that we've secured early on, not to sympathize with our situation. So when we tell them things like, "Hey guys, I mean, these shipments are delayed 2 months. And we've had 1 megawatt just sitting here for a month. And now you're asking us for deposits that are twice as much almost. They're going to go like, yeah, well, I mean, if you want to pay 6.5 cents, we can stick to your original deposit terms and we can get everything online ASAP. But obviously, that's not what we want to do, because that's going to hurt us and it's going to hurt everybody that's working with us. And that's a much bigger deal. Nobody wants to pay 30-40% more on energy. So that's the situation we're in. And I'll be honest, it's not the worst situation to be in, especially when you're going all the way to Latin America to save 50% on energy. So I think just a little bit more patience, a little bit more understanding and flexibility, knowing sort of the environment we're working in and what the end goal is, and that's paying a rate that's below 5 cents, when the rest of the world's averaging 8 cents, I think is it's worth it. So yeah, so that's where we are. We'll revisit this next week, and we'll see exactly what the situation is going to look like. But uh, at least the worst case situation, that's out of the picture. Really long delays, that's out of the picture. And so I think we're sitting pretty good right now.
So
So
Joe,
Joe, go on, Telly. Sorry.
I was going to say, Joe, you just gave a pretty in-depth, I guess, overview. Can you try summarize it in a few sentences, like a quick bullet point, so people kind of have an easier time understanding the whole thing? And some people might have come in a bit late, mid-conversation. So if you can just do it in a few sentences for the people that are kind of not paying full attention or misunderstood some points, just to avoid
Yeah,
confusion.
yeah,
Because you
sure.
went pretty in depth to some things that people are not particularly aware about the mining industry.
Yes, yeah. So maybe I'll start with some context. So we left, we left an entire continent to pursue energy that is about half the cost of the average energy to mine, and with that comes a lot of risk. The biggest risk being, lead times. Obviously, the lead times have been a problem. We're about 2 months late. I'd say 1 to 2 months late on getting things delivered and then online. Part of that is because of the drought that happened during the summer and the backup in the vessels. Now that's resolved. Everything is now in Paraguay. The other issue that we've been dealing with is actually getting the energy required to get these miners online. That's sort of been more of um, a regulatory issue, and working with the local energy provider over there, they switched their entire staff. With that transition, they had to renew all the documentation, which set us behind. And in that, we needed to renegotiate terms. We focused a lot on maintaining the original terms, and we succeeded in maintaining the original terms. But with that, they're asking for more deposits. So right now, we are working on making sure that we have enough deposits to get everything online next week. And there is a chance that we may have to do a stepwise approach to turning things on, which means we either do, 1/3 comes online next week, another third comes online after, and then the final third comes on after that. Or we can get everything online at the same time. That's going to be more so of a financial decision. We're going to have to see if we're able to do that. Because of the delays, our operational revenue has been very, very small. So we don't have enough budget to just, pay them exactly what they're asking for and get everything online at once.
Can you put that in one sentence? I don't think you can put that much information in one sentence, to be honest.
No,
But
no,
long
not.
story short, we got screwed over a few circumstances and changes in the government which are out of our hands. We now have to renegotiate, which we've done successfully so far. And there's a few steps left to go before we can have power on, which should be next week or week after. All machines
Yeah,
are fine.
the
all
final
machines-
step is just paying. Yeah. So
Yeah.
all the machines are there. So the integrity of the machine's intact. That's the biggest risk. Now we can successfully say that we are not worried about any machines missing or being damaged. Everything is there. So that whole delay, it's dealt with. It's in the past. Now everything's there. Now we need to get things online, because we've already had machines there sitting for a while. That was the priority, focusing on getting the energy. We refiled everything, re-signed everything, because there was a transition in staff on their part. So we had to get new signatures because the people are not working there anymore, the ones we were working with earlier. And so now that's done. Then the next step was to get all of the required infrastructure from the energy company in order for them to bill us. That's all done. So now they're asking for deposits. What they're asking for is a lot higher than what they told us at the beginning of the year. Again, that was April. So that's many months ago, and it was different people. So we had to sit, negotiate, and reconcile that. We're in the process of doing that. We believe next week we'll come to some agreement, and we'll be able to get either all our capacity online, or I would say at least a third to half of it, and then we'll work with getting the rest online shortly after that.
Yeah,
So
I think we've explained that.
yep. So I guess the people within the Discord are gonna the clear question is that is there a set order to how we're going to roll these miners out? Are we going to do it in shipment order? I mean, that would kind of make sense. The people that have been waiting the longest.
Yes,
the
so
rollout first.
that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go by shipment order, um, and the smart thing to do, if we're trying to run this as a business, is to get the most lucrative things on first. That way, we can ensure at least the viability of this business. Because if this business does not survive, then everybody loses. So it's a balance between making a decision that keeps the business viable, and then also not compromising the integrity of the customer relation. So I know there are people,
100%.
yeah, there are people who waited longer than others, and so that's going to be the priority. But again, this is the situation where we can't get everything online at once, which is the backup situation. That's not what we're striving for. We're striving to get everything online, and it is possible. But okay, to give you more details, they're asking for about $400,000 to get 4 megawatts online, and that's a deposit. So it's not impossible, but that's double what the expectation was, and we haven't budgeted for that. We've had about 20% of our operation online the last 3 months, right? So we haven't been able to build the cash reserves, and that would mean either we go into more debt, and then we have to pay interest on this debt, um, or we try to figure out some solution. And right now, we want to give a solution. We want to come up with a solution where we can sort of reconcile. And if that's impossible, we're going to see what is the timeline to getting all 4 megawatts online if we don't pay that. And if that's absurd, then we're just going to have to get some debt. And if you know anything, and I'm sure a lot of you understand, the reason we've been able to survive this longest bear market in crypto history so far is because we have avoided debt. For the most part, we have avoided debt. I mean, we definitely have debt, but it's not over leveraged debt, and it's we've had, at least before sending everything to Paraguay, we had very healthy financials. So now our financials have not been as healthy the last 3 months, and so taking debt right now is more dangerous. So that's just where we are. But
Joe,
I think,
but to give
yeah,
the full picture, our financials will be very healthy and sustainable once everything is running. It's just a short-term hiccup. It's so not to scare people or make them feel uncertain.
so I mean, no, our business model is extremely lean. Like we have a 30% overhead cost. So 70% of everything that we bring in revenue stays in the company and is reinvested into more infrastructure for scaling, and then into the Genesis pools. And so that 30% is salary. So we take very, very little in salary and very little. So the operating cost of the company is going to be the cost of the leases, the cost of the debt, and then the cost of the labor or the salaries. That is only 30% of what the company brings in. So we're very healthy. But the problem is 80% of the operation's been offline for 3 months.
On a
So
boat, for the most part. So
yeah,
I think that was the point that we were all trying to make, is just that everybody is feeling the pain. We want to get these shipments to site ASAP, because if the miners are not switched on, guess what? We're not making anything either. So it's in our interest to get these things online as quickly as we can. Unhappy customers clearly means that you talk to other people about the project, right? And that's infectious.
Yeah, and it's we're not worried at all about you know like we're not worried about sinking or going under at all. We can easily raise debt. If we raise debt, we lose the leverage on scaling because we raise more debt, we give up more percent. We give up more percent, our overhead cost goes up, right? So what we keep in the company shrinks, and that means less to scaling across the board, growing slower, all that stuff. So the worst case scenario is we raise debt, and that's not a problem. We have access to raising debt. It's really not a problem.
I just wanted to clarify for everyone so that there's no like concern or misconfusion,
Yeah. No, I know, and I'm trying to elaborate because I realize I'm getting into details that you made the comment. I'm getting into details people aren't very privy to, because a lot of people in this chat are very focused on the Genesis and the buy and host, but the Genesis and the buy and host have survived this long because in parallel we've built a viable business model, which is the hosting arm as well. That's essentially keeping everything afloat, covering a lot of the costs of the pains that we're dealing with. And we've pretty much surmounted all the biggest risks. Like right now, we all believe we're in the accumulation phase of the next bull cycle. So the next couple of months, we're really not worried that some catastrophic event is going to catch us off guard. And I think we're out of the muddy waters at this point.
Right stuff.
I mean, just to kind of put into perspective, it's all public knowledge, this one, but Oteria as a company from the EMF1 collection makes just above $1,200 a month, just because we lower our fees and everything, so we can supplement you guys' rewards as much as possible. So if you think about it, this is almost $1 million raise for machines from the collection, of which the company makes abysmal amount, so yeah, the outside of buy and host and all these things are very important.
Yeah. The EMF returns have really struggled despite us pretty much cutting down our hosting fees by 50 or more percent, because if you actually look at the total network hash rates and the difficulties, well, honestly, this is not as relevant for L7s actually, but L7s we know that the halving occurred, so we lost about 20% of the output, and then we saw Litecoin and Dogecoin drop by 30-40%. So really, that's why the L7, the EMF1 output is suffering. But just keep in mind, we are maybe 2% in total or less of the entire network hash rate on just this one pool, and everybody else is mining at 8 cents on average plus, right? And so if your returns are 1.5 or 2% a month, people are not even making 1%. So it's a collective struggle. It's the market really that's affecting the returns. So we have done everything we can on our end to make it as profitable as possible, even at the cost of the viability. I wouldn't say the viability of the business, but more so the profitability of the business. We don't make stupid decisions that's gonna put us under. But yeah, so anyways, well, do you feel like there's enough context on operations? Can we move on to the next point?
Yeah,
No,
we've covered operations, we've covered minor rollout. I think as far as Paraguay goes, it's more of is there anything else that we feel that we've missed to drop into conversation, or should we jump in a plane to North America and talk about the Carolinas operation?
No, so honestly, here's the thing. The first attempt at going to Paraguay has been I'd say maybe underwhelming. Obviously the lead times were inaccurate. Now was that was that just the nature of shipping there, or was it really confounded by just unlucky circumstances, which is the drought everybody's talking about, the vessel capping in the canal crossing? I like to believe it's that, because when the final shipment we did actually got in there less than 45 days. So I think from a logistical standpoint, we learned a lot, but I also think it was a very circumstantial event. So initially, we had grown a little bit numb to the idea of expanding and scaling in Paraguay, but we're starting to revisit this concept again. We are starting to think, if everything comes online and we have smooth operations in the next month, and we're not we see more capacity there, because there is more capacity, but we see more capacity and energy available, that maybe we fine tune the shipping, find ways to ensure appropriate tracking of the shipping, and then we just continue scaling there, because I really feel like that was more circumstantial. um, but that's Paraguay. So I think once we get that 4 megawatt up, I think there will be chances later where we will start scaling more and going towards that 10 megawatt goal in Paraguay, because the rates there are just so much better. And not so much better, but they're just better. And if we can truly get a lead time of about 4 to 8 weeks, 8 weeks being really fringe case, then I think it's worth it, because the lead times is what sort of put us off. I think we can move on to talk about North Carolina.
I
Yeah,
think so.
I
Yeah,
think
let's switch it. Let's switch it up, because I mean, look, it's the OG of all sites. It was where this whole thing started. But yeah, you actually flew down there, didn't you? What was the yeah? What was that? What was that all about? And how was it seeing it expanded?
Yeah, so I was just there 2 days ago. It was wait, I think it was
no
yes, yeah,
selfies.
2 days ago. Go
Disappointing.
ahead.
I was saying
What's
no
that?
selfies from you in the facility, which is disappointing to say the least, but it's okay.
No, what?
Have I
No
rubbed?
selfies with you on the machines. I think
Oh
I'm
no, no,
rugging.
I have one. No, no, I have something we can share.
Okay, good. Good.
It's just a
Share
bad
it.
hair day, so I don't want to be forthcoming about it. But um,
Embarrassing.
no, honestly, look, since I've been down there, it's we've added a massive container. I mean, when I say massive, you really don't appreciate the size of these containers, the ones that we have, until you see them in person. I mean, it's 27,000 pounds. It's huge. It's actually taller than our fences. Now we have to literally install taller fences just to cover the top of that container. It's huge. It has 360 spots. We've already filled 210. And the most impressive part about the operation in North Carolina is the temperatures of the L7s there on average was 62 degrees. I mean, they were freezing, and they're hashing. They're starting to hash higher than their actual factory setting. So a lot of them are 9 mega hashes. I think gigahashes, 9 gigahashes. They're like hashing 9.5. We have some that are hashing over 10. Um, we would overclock all of them as soon as we can, but we're waiting on this new transformer to come in. So we just ordered a 3.75 megawatt transformer. It's a huge transformer. It's huge, like 3 times the size of what people normally have for their mining sites. And we're doing that really to just save or just square footage, because we don't want to spend too much on that. And that comes in either in the next couple of days. Actually, it should be coming in the next couple of days. Once we already started working on constructing a road, so that because the facility is now growing, so we need a real road to go around the facility for the bulldozers, the cranes. So we're building a road this weekend. We're doing more groundwork, adding more gravel, adding a transformer pad, expanding the fence by about 30 meters, 30 to 40 meters. We're gonna reformat the actual site so that there's more space for containers. And we're expanding it, and we're expanding it to up to 6 megawatts. We're right now we have 2.3 megawatts online there. We're gonna be able to go almost up to 6 megawatts, probably a little bit below. North Carolina, right now, we've entered a program that allows us to get some incredibly competitive rates in North America. So when we're looking at, just across the street, people are hosting for 8.5 cents. The states around us, people are hosting for about 8 cents. The cheapest we've seen in terms of competitors, a very lean operation, similar to us, where they do sort of rate plus profit share, are still about 7.5 cents. So, we're averaging about 6.5 cents and lower in North Carolina. So, super competitive rates. So we're excited about expanding North Carolina again because of this program. And now we're also looking at a site that's about 15 minutes to, no, sorry, like 25 to 30 minutes away from our first site in North Carolina. We're looking to get 5 to 6 megawatts there. We won't really know until mid-November, but if we do get that site, then that would be, turned over and ready within a month or less, because it's actually a previous factory. So we don't need to do groundwork. We don't need to do fencing. We don't need to pull in wires. It's already been set up for utilizing energy in the past. So by I think the end of this year, we could very easily have about 11 to 10 to 12 megawatts in North Carolina. So we're gonna reopen orders. We've really stopped taking orders recently. I'd say over the last month we've winded down a lot because we were a little bit anxious about the Paraguay situation. Now that everything is there and things are going to start coming online soon, we're going to start filling up our space in North Carolina. Maybe soon after we can also talk about Paraguay as well. And a very interesting option that's come up is Texas, and those rates there are actually similar to the rates in Paraguay. So the one in Texas is a very expensive site to develop, but we are in the process of raising funds to develop it. And I'd say we've secured about 75% of the funds required. And we're looking to build about 15 megawatts there. So we'll have infrastructure to support 15. Now, everybody who's a Genesis or a buy and host client, we will offer them a chance to move all of their equipment from North Carolina, if they wanted to Texas and get that discounted rate. So the rate will be about 20% cheaper, and the downtime will be a week. So that's something we will offer everybody. That's part of Enigma. But yeah, so that we're aiming for December to January of next year, because right now we're just conducting some environmental studies. Once they come back with the permits, we're going to move swiftly because it's an insane deal.
Right, I'm just checking to see if my bloody microphone's working again now.
You're
Yeah,
fine.
thank
You're
you.
fine, yeah. But
So just to give some relevance, every time we scale about 1 to 2 meg, I'd say every 1 megawatt that we scale, the benefit for our Genesis pools is actually significant. So there is a diminishing returns in the sense that the more we scale Genesis, the less percent scaled per month. But when we're talking about there's another 20 megawatts worth of capacity that we're going to be selling and getting online, that is a significant amount of scaling for Genesis. So for Genesis over the last 6 months, I already posted all this. I don't really remember exactly what it was, but we have seen, I believe it was over 60% scaled. And I mean, we're talking about scaling in a bear market with much smaller capacity. I mean, our average online capacity was 3.5 megawatts in the last 6 months. Now you're talking about having about 7 megawatts online. And so we're not only going to get scaling from selling the capacity, but now we have double the capacity online on average. And so if we were able to do 60% scale to Genesis, I can imagine we're going to do a lot better in the coming months. So I think there's a lot of excitement for Genesis once everything is going according to plan. And there's a lot more potential in the future. Every time we close these deals and we have new sites to develop, I think that's a huge win for Genesis as well.
not to mention the around 30-35% of Genesis that is still unclaimed, which automatically gets reinvested with time. So all of those rewards go back to the pool. So it's scaling on top of scaling. It basically compounds.
Yeah, that's a good point. Oh, sorry, I'm like 2 hours, 3 hours asleep, but let's keep
I
going.
think we've covered a very decent amount. I think we should take some questions because we have covered a lot of topics. I'm not seeing many questions, so I assume there will be some now. So I think we give it over to the guys to think questions, and then I'll read them out and we can go over.
Okay.
Anyone? But I do think you gave pretty fucking solid overviews. So I think most questions have been answered by now. But let's see if anyone comes up with anything.
I'm not seeing any typing in the box.
Yeah, no. Give it a sec.
Oh, we do
Well, I
have
guess
someone.
everyone's happy. Oh, no. I do recognize that name. He does ask a lot of questions, Arrow, which is good.
Well, we know that we haven't got Nanamo in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
it's a
about
shame.
to say he's missing.
It's a shame.
We
Don't
lost
say
him.
his name. Don't say his name.
He just imagine he just joins.
You're gonna invoke his presence and summon
His
him
wrath.
onto the
Manifest.
stage.
Manifest it. There you go, Helly. First question in.
With everything going on, what would you estimate would be the first Genesis payout? 2 to 3 months. Well, we're almost 3/4 of the month done now. So if we install within a week or 2 weeks, that will be the beginning of next month. So you then add another month. So basically, it becomes middle of early December would be a payout if the current timelines remain. I think that pretty much covers it. So give it whatever weeks needed to installation, which would take a while because there's literally almost 1,000 machines there, and then you add a month.
I know exactly what Mungo's going to type now. V4.
V4 is a topic we're going to revisit in more detail a bit later, but I think it's fair to say that V4 will be somewhat delayed or less than expectation because of this delay on shipping, which obviously affected it itself. But I don't want to really comment now. I think we should do it justice on a separate AMA in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we can talk about that next week. We just have to.
Yeah.
We'll figure out a time and we can talk about it.
And just to quickly mention boosts. Yeah, so for Genesis boosts, metadata will be updated soon, and some metadata will be removed. The reason we haven't done it yet is because our developer's been busy on working on multiple things. Website is done, so that's going to be posted soon. So it's kind of 2 quick updates on those things.
Yeah, but the website is without the dashboard on its release, correct?
Yeah, no dashboard yet. Dashboard is very complicated, guys. So again, we are very light and smooth operation in terms of team. So we don't have a bajillion devs working on all of these things. So things have to be prioritized in a order that makes the most sense for everyone. But it will be done.
Agile is the word that you're looking for.
Yeah, agile is the word. It is also like 1 in the morning, so I'm very tired.
Narwhal's question, does V4 need
yeah.
to earn back lost reinvestment time, or are delays just related to what Joe has already explained?
Well, it kind of needs to earn some back, or it just won't have as much. It really kind of is up to that, because it can't really. Yeah, it would either be less than expected, or just have to wait longer. Again, we're not going to comment now because when we make these sort of kind of pass away comments, people tend to take them out of context, or in between they sort of assume things, which is never helpful for anyone or us. So I think we should just again do it properly on an AMA the next week or two. I think that makes the most sense for everyone, rather than just say things that might change.
Yeah.
When
Okay.
do we get access to the website? Next question. It will be very soon. It's a website again. It's not the actual dashboard, so it's only going to be for information and selling of machines and booking
Well,
calls.
the main point of the website will be for recruitment. So
Yeah,
it would help that everybody actually makes accounts. That's once everybody can make an account, the next step will be to introduce the wallet function so people can connect the relevant wallets. And then that's going to give us the data we need to populate individualized dashboard metrics. So that's sort of the rollout of the website.
yep.
So
But
Mazza's
the
actually
website.
asked, go on,
go,
sorry, I
James,
didn't
go on.
realise you finished there. Mazza's been asking some questions in the other chat that we'll come to when you finish, mate.
Mazza, we covered these points early on. I don't think it's a good time to repeat them, but we're going to do a summary and upload this recording.
Well,
So-
I owe Mez a phone call, so I'll give him a phone call. I'll text him when I get off, and we'll
If you
plan
do-
something. But
okay.
yeah, the only reason we don't want to go through this again is because there's actually a lot of context, and I don't want to just
A lot.
summarize it and not give you context.
Yeah. Sorry, what I was saying before is website is going to be very helpful and basically one of the main tools we're going to use to get more clients in, more buying hosted, which in turn gets Genesis and everything else going. Because guys, I don't know if you realize, but we as Enigma have done zero marketing, zero paid marketing, no ads anywhere. Everything's been through word of mouth and basically our connections in the space, which are very well established, and we've done so much and so far so quick. So with the website and money coming in after Paraguay, marketing and everything will step up, and we'll have even more machines being sold all the time. So yeah, the website is a big step for that, and it's another step towards the referral system, which we have some documents on, which we're going to drop maybe middle of next week with the website. That will be very good. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Are there any other questions that have been posted?
Mazza has one which is, I think, relevant. It's a new point, but he said, I just wondered why a test wasn't done first before bringing everyone's miners with no dry run to anticipate all these delays. And I think, Joe, your context kind of answers that question, so maybe we don't cover it now.
Where is it?
I don't know. It's if you click on if you hover over the stage, there's an open chat button. It's a stage chat, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you should be able to see it. You might have to scroll down a bit.
I think
No, we have a test run. I mean, it's hard to. What do you got to define test run? Like test run to what scale? Because we had about 4 megawatts, so over 1,000 machines that were interested to go. Now, if a test run is meant to figure out if they have energy, I mean that's already done because we already have machines that are online, but we only have about 25 machines online. But when we visited down there, there were thousands of machines already online. We had to develop our own site. So with developing our own site, that's an entirely new situation, new energy lines, new substations, new contracts. So all that stuff you really can't replicate without waiting 6 months, right? So really, if we wanted to do a full test run, it would mean develop the site, pay for all this stuff, and then we're going to need machines anyway. So in that situation, it would mean everybody who wanted to go and mine in Paraguay would not be able to place orders or get any machines until maybe the end of this year, beginning of next year. And every single person who did want to send machines to Paraguay was already given the context that while we're developing a site, it takes X amount of time. There could be delays. So that's just how the process works. We do the same thing in North Carolina. It's all based on just expectations, and a lot of the times expectations won't work. But if test runs means make sure energy exists, we've already done that. All the due diligence that was needed was completed far in advance in March and April. That's when we signed contracts. We took lawyers, 2 lawyers. We met with them. We met with the company. We vetted their business. All of that. I think all that stuff would not necessarily have predicted any delays in shipping. So I think the biggest problem was the delays in shipping.
No, Joe, it was a follow-up, which I don't know if you can see. If not, I'll read out for you.
No, that's not accurate. So everybody who relocated buy and host only paid 50% of the cost to move their machine. So we actually covered 50% of the cost of relocating buy and host, and we paid 100% of the cost of moving Genesis. So buy and host paid about, I believe, $150 to $200 a machine or less, from what I recall. And the actual cost of relocating the machine was 16% of the cost of the machine for imports and about $150 for just shipping. So it amounted to over $350 to $400 per machine.
That's what he's saying, Maza. Your own machines. We covered half of that, essentially.
Yeah, so 50% of the cost of moving buy and host we covered. Yeah, it's fine. There's a lot of information. It's complicated, and we have ways now that we could maybe reduce a little bit the cost of shipping. But really, the thing is this: moving old machines to Paraguay is already, assuming that the lead times are accurate, is already sort of like there's a marginal benefit to it. So in retrospect, if we had known at the time that there would be about a month and a half delay on when machines get there, then we would have said, okay, used machines, there's a marginal benefit. If you have to wait a month and a half on top of the lead time, that marginal benefit will sort of disappear unless your machine, does really well for 2.5, 3 more years in a bull market, because then the rate's justified and the cost is justified and the downtime is justified. But back then we were looking at 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, everything back online, and then cutting your costs by 30, 40%. And then we covered 50% of your cost of moving. So it made sense. There was benefit to that. Now, after the delay, that downtime sort of erases that benefit, but you can argue that, well, covering only 50% of the cost sort of counteracts that downtime as well. And so we're sort of back to square one. So really the hopes is making sure that getting the machines online and moving forward, the uptime is perfect. The machines work well. We may be able to overclock machines to sort of make up, but we are looking into ways to reconcile that downtime. And one of the ways is giving people the first month free, or reducing the first month or 2 months, and sort of finding ways to close that gap on the cost of the opportunity cost of the downtime. But I will tell you that nobody does that. Okay, we're doing this just because we want to be different. But this is one of those businesses where the risk is that there will be delays. Shipping things from China or from the US all the way to Latin America, there will be delays. We can't really quantify the delays. And it's a risk. You're taking that risk, we're taking that risk, and we're supposed to be on the same page. So when things like this do happen, we don't have to cover costs that we're not budgeted to cover, but we're still going to try.
Yeah, and I think we do that a lot.
Actually, that's a very good question. So we were thinking of that ourselves. We actually did consult an expert 2 weeks ago, because the reason it came up wasn't because of the delays. Actually, we found a site in Wyoming that has really good energy rates, but you have to shut your machine off for like about 40% of the time. Some people do that when they're self-mining. It's just hard to do that when you're hosting. Nobody wants a 40% downtime. But we thought about if you shut your machine off 40% of the time and you're mining 60% of the time at a rate of 4 cents in the US, does that mean you're also going to get a 40% more longevity on the machine? And turns out that the answer is yes. If the machine is running, half a year worth of time in 1 year, then technically you're going to double the shelf life of the machine. But the problem is you can't predict the future, and generally the future tends to be more difficult to produce the same amount of Bitcoin. So there is a situation that where while you will have a machine maybe for twice its age or 40% longer, that those times are actually not going to be as profitable. So there's that risk. All right, thanks for your questions. We'll touch base.
Well, I think that just about covers everything for this evening, doesn't it?
Yep, I think we're pretty much done.
Joe, appreciate you taking the time. Also appreciate the fact you're operating on very little sleep. So, oh bloody hell, Kaneko's just entered the conversation. Here we go. Joe, you can go.
He said, wait, I can't leave.
I know.
What a job being for Halloween, bro. A clown. Easiest answer. Give it in a week.
Well, let's see. For Halloween, I was thinking SBF, but I don't know if that'll fit well in this current situation. So, what about you?
we did get what's your favorite color last time.
What do you? I don't know. Honestly, to be honest, I wanted to be Thor for Halloween, but the pudgy Thor. Oh, you're a unicorn.
Love it.
Maybe we should do it. We should do a costume contest.
We should do yeah. We should give an EMF2 for the best costume.
It's going to be a minor.
Dude,
Yeah,
let's do a giveaway. Let's do one EMF2 from the community wallet for the best costume.
Yeah,
but so no one bullshits. You have to hold a piece of paper saying "I love Enigma" or some shit.
It has to be a minor, though, no?
Like you want to be physically a miner, like you're gonna get a box costume with an ASIC design, and
An actual good old minor.
you want to hold a pickaxe.
That is such a David thing to do. Swear to God.
David's
okay, guys. I think we're just adding a bunch of time to recording now. We don't need to. So I think we're done.
Yeah. Well, you can stop the recording. By the way.
Yeah. True. We should just cut it. Yeah.
Hey, Lord, is he still on? Yes, he is. I can see him with the black background.
Yeah.
All right. Good night. All right, guys. Excited for next week. I think next week, hopefully, we can put all these delays behind and start focusing on all the exciting stuff we're gonna do. What's up? Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say that out again. I'm sorry. I'm not saying out loud again. I'm sorry. It's too soon. It's actually too soon. Whoever did that, oh, bro, that's rude, man. Don't say that again.
Nice one, pal.
That's really good. We have to honestly look. I was 100% serious when I said we need to find ways to help them because it's not it's not a new problem that we need to deal with. But I do see us sitting in a very good spot within the next month. So I think if we're blessed and we're in a situation where we're doing well, we should help other people because they all had the same intentions you guys have. And you guys had, 2 years of waiting. And fortunately, we found ways to build something viable and something that's scalable. And so we're fortunate to be in this situation. I know we've struggled a lot, and we haven't met expectations yet. But I know we're going to exceed the expectations. And once we're on that track, I think we need to look at our friends and also help them. So we're not going to poke fun because those wounds are still open and they would hurt if we were in their situation. Okay, guys, I'm gonna head out.
Yep.
All right, thank you guys, and just ping me if there are any questions. I'll still be by the phone.
Super stuff.
All right.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Joe.
All right. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
All right, the boss is gone now. We can say what we like.
I thought I could just close this thing now.
Cool. Right. I'm just taking a look and see what content I had. So for those of you that were paying attention in the announcements, I think a few weeks ago I posted that we had a new client that had just had 210 new Watts miners into the North Carolina facility. That was actually in one of Giga's new state-of-the-art containers, and I've actually got a picture of it actually in the deck. So then let me know if you guys can see. But it's a very, very impressive modular design. If you're into that sort of thing, that is. I know, Kelly, you get very excited over containers, don't you? Take silence as a yes. But these are the new containers that we've got in place. They actually use rain guards, so actually when it rains, it's a good thing for the miners because it provides us basically additional cooling. They can house quite a sizable amount of miners as well, much larger than the previous containers we've had on order, and these are going to be the new de facto for our North Carolina facility.
Hello?
Dude, you're
Hello?
lagging.
Dude, my MacBook died as I said goodbye. Literally, as I said goodbye to Joe, my MacBook just shut off. So it looked like I left, but I'm back, sir.
I'm just saying how how into mining containers you were.
Oh, dude, I have a poster of a container over my bed.
You subscribe to Mining Container Almanac, admit it. But we've been, in addition to that, we've been throwing a lot of stats around, and customers coming forward now are asking us some weird and wonderful questions around different ways in which they calculate return of investment. I can see Pearl is in the audience and asking questions, and I know when we were speaking to the team over at Fat Cats that Dylan certainly was pressing us with a number of different kind of return of investment type calculations. But the most common question that seems to come in from certainly the more traditional investors is saying, well, if I go and spend my money buying one Bitcoin today, surely I can do just as well as if I mined. So we thought, you know what, we'll take on that challenge. We'll actually go away and we'll calculate what the return would be if you were to spend that it's actually close to $30,000 now. It shows how times change very quickly. This slide is only a few weeks old. But if you've bought one BTC and you just hodled, you've still got one BTC. If, however, you were to invest and spend that money on miners, so 28,000 gets you roughly 14 miners, just over, you'd actually mine the equivalent of 5.8 BTC over the course of that period. And assuming that BTC goes in the direction that we would hope it would do, it'll be a hell of a lot more than $162,000 at today's prices. But there is your value proposition. So I may share this graphic in the Discord. So if you've got some doubters potentially who maybe are dibble dabbling in crypto but look at mining as a bit of a uninteresting area, let's say, I think if they take a look at this particular graphic, they might change their mind. So these are the kinds of things that make mine and Helly's life a hell of a lot easier when we're talking to clients. But there is still a hell of a lot of interest, and I think Helly and I are going to have to clone each other once once times start looking a bit brighter and the bull run begins, because everybody and their dog's going to want to get into mining. So we're in a fortunate position at the moment. We are still seeing miner prices at a rate that people can afford. We're not seeing those rates increase yet. However, that's not to say that they won't. So the in topic at the moment and a lot of the incoming queries seem to be around Kaspa. So for those of you that don't know, Kaspa is a newly mineable. Well, it's not exactly new, but it's the miners are certainly have been very difficult to get hold of historically. But we actually have just had our first large client install a bunch of Kaspa miners in our North Carolina facility. Helly, you knew a little bit more about this particular client than I do. I think you did the stats on what their first month ROI was. Do you remember what that ROI was on those Kaspa miners?
Honestly, mate, no. I wasn't looking at the ROI specifically. I was mostly looking at the increase in difficulty for the Kaspa miners and their availability, because that's like the biggest factor right now. Usually when these coins come out and the ASICs come out, the ASICs are so superior to what any PC can do, and they improve so much and so quickly that whoever gets the stock fastest basically makes the most money. Like there's a point in where like if your shipment is delayed by like a week, you miss out on a lot of money, a lot of ROI. So I was looking more into that, and the hash rate and difficulty is increasing greatly. Kaspa is a different emission cycle than Bitcoin. It reduces emission every week, or every month. Sorry, it was every month. And it's already 75% mined. So there is certainly risk to it, but if you have good logistics and good power and good availability, it's a pretty viable coin to mine, to where you can really get your ROI back. Or as ROI winds down, you still end up in a very good position overall across the long-term vision. And the coin itself is not listed on many exchanges. Actually, I think only Bybit is a big exchange that has it. So the more listings it has and the more ground it picks up, the more the coin is likely to go up. And of course, if you have the funds to just basically keep the coin, and you don't rely on those funds to live or anything like that, there's a very good chance you can sell at a pump or when the coin is more adopted and make your money back even quicker. So there's a lot of things to consider, as there usually is with mining, but the machines are very expensive. So I think the machines are between $11,000 and $15,000, something like that. And obviously that's a very high entry point for people. So I think soon we're going to look into considering splitting one machine up into pieces. We already have seen interest for that. So I might come out tomorrow and say, hey guys, I'm going to split one machine. Or we have one machine available, splitting it in 10, and everyone puts $1,000 each, or splitting in 20 and everyone puts $500 each. It's like a mini EMF, but it's potentially without NFTs. It's just like a normal buy house client where you buy a piece of a miner. But yeah, we're looking into that. We're looking into general models for splitting up machines, where people can buy small parts of machines for cheaper, basically allowing you to instantly turn on hash rate with your rewards. So for example, if you're someone like me who has a decent amount of EMF1s and some EMF2s, I can every 2 weeks basically accumulate more hash rate without having to wait for anyone. And those machines are going to basically be, that hash rate is going to have a premium because it's readily available and it turns on the moment you purchase it. So yeah, again, it's just things that we're doing in the future to allow people to enter more and more easily. But yeah, we're going to drop a lot more information on that and documents, all that shit. We're just kind of teasing people for what's going to come soon and what we've been working on the back end.
So I'll drop a little website screenshot. Got the Kaspa.
Yeah.
Hold on 2 seconds. Here we go in the chat. There you go. So as you can see, Kaspa is part and parcel for what we're offering in there. I've just gone back through the messages between site and that particular client. It was 17% that first month. It's insane. But we've seen this before with Kadena. I think that's the concerns that everybody has had. So yeah, we're not going to go back there in that sense. So we're watching this with keenness, shall we say? But the coin price has been pretty healthy. It's actually been going up and to the right, which is what we want to see. But we're reserving judgment on this at the moment. But spectacular mini EMFs, say no more, 100%. But yeah, I mean, one thing that you'll see with once the website is fully launched is that the next phase we will look at bringing on percentiles of machines. There'll be certain availability on certain machines, So, if you want to reinvest those hard-gotten gains from EMF1 and soon to be EMF2 and Genesis, that could be your way of reinvesting. So there's a lot to come, a lot we're very excited about, a lot that we can't tell you about, unfortunately, because we want to make sure that everything is up and ready. We do not want to get ourselves burnt. But yeah, the future is looking very, very bright. The light at the end of the tunnel is finally within spitting distance, I think. I think Helly and I have aged considerably over the course of the last 7-8 months, to say the least. So, Helly, before we say our goodbyes, is there anything else that you want to throw into conversation?
No, honestly, not really. I think we've covered a good amount already, a very good amount. So I think to round it off at the 1 hour, 10, 15-minute mark, it's good.
Super. Well, as always, guys, look, we really appreciate the support and love that we get from you guys in the community. Please do keep coming with the questions. Raise tickets, tag us in the chat, drop us a DM if needs be. We are here to help. We know that information sometimes can be a little difficult, but when we don't have, a definitive answer to provide, unfortunately, we would rather wait to be in a position where we can give a concrete response rather than an assumption. So,
yeah,
we've both been, both Helly and I have been part of other projects where we have overpromised and underdelivered. We got very, very used to doing the complete opposite. And with the North Carolina operation, we could do exactly that. We got EMF1 up in record time. I think it was 6 weeks from mint to first payout, which I was incredibly interested in. But apparently I've lost my sound. Can you still hear me, Helly?
I hear you perfect, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's just you, Narwhal. Sorry, mate. Last question. This is actually one for David. David, you can take this one. It's about Genesis
by design. Oh God, no!
No, it was not by design. Maxi, you're up, mate. You've got a question in the chat. You can explain this one.
I think he's fallen asleep. I can explain it. It's basically.
Oh no, he's there. He's awake. He's alive.
I'm not gonna steal your thunder. Go on.
I'm alive. Yeah, I was just bugging on my phone. Okay, so the thing started with the bot that's not doing an NFT verification anymore. So we had to try a different bot, which I did, and then this bot wasn't fully installed because it has a limitation when it comes to the staked NFTs. So wasn't by design, of course, and I'm not happy with this bot because like Genesis before, we have like 90% still staked, and basically we cannot use this bot, and we will need to install a different bot. But there's no free bot basically that does this as we want it to do, as we want to use it. So we'll have to find a bot that's not crazy expensive.
Yeah, so to kind of add on to that, it's basically everyone knows the bot that stopped doing it. It's WAP. It's basically a pretty big company in the kind of membership style things. Like they really had a lot of NFT support. They also have other paid groups that they manage memberships of and all of those things. But I guess they finally gave up on NFTs, or it wasn't profitable for them anymore. So they just basically shut off everyone. And it's not just Enigma that has this issue, it's a lot of people, a lot of servers. So just bear with us, and Maxi's on it to find the best solution for us.
Yeah, but as you said, Ro, it's a minor thing, I guess. It now.
Yep, fire a ticket up, and we'll get it sorted. Especially for those of you with whale rolls. I mean, you obviously spent a lot of money. We want to make sure that you got the right color.
Yeah, colors are nice. I know you guys
Yeah,
like
it's
things.
like a badge of honor, right? Isn't it? So there we go. All right. Anything else from anyone else? Any questions? Any hands up? Anyone want to jump on stage and sing us a song? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Don't invite that up. Jesus Christ, they're gonna come out now.
Kelly Quinn can sing. I wouldn't bet on it.
No, I wouldn't as well.
You know, one time maybe I'll start an AMA with karaoke here in the Philippines.
It's kind of funny idea, actually.
They will start at 6 a.m. sometimes, so just an hour more.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, there's no joke. These people wake up always like super early. Together with the chickens. I can hear the chickens already.
Yeah, as someone who lives pretty similar time zones to you, not as bad, but working with Americans and American clients and living in like basically any time zone after Europe is fucked up. It's not good thing to do.
So
My night bird.
I was going to say, talking of birds, like there was a question that I remember seeing in the Discord on reveal of EMF2. And by the way, everybody, I hope you guys love the art. So that's all Helly and the artist's effort. So I really hope you guys really liked what you saw. But there was a comment around a reference to Helly and some chickens. So, Helly, for those that didn't see it, you want to explain that one because I think it's on one of the EMF receipts. It talks about you and chickens. What's that all about?
Yeah, so the artist who did this collection, I've known him for like ages, but he's this very talented guy who is from India, if memory serves right. But we used to play games together like years ago. We met like pre-Corona times. And I remember that he was in game development and animation in for a mobile phone company. And when I was still at Llamaverse and we needed some new art, I basically reached out to him saying, "Hey, dude, like this is something that can really work out for you. Let me know if you want to do this." So all of the animation on the Llamaverse, which is very high quality stuff, was done by him. So since then, I've helped him get some other jobs in the space, this and that. But anyway, it just kind of cut it short. Basically, I had chickens when I used to live in London because my sister, who was young at the time, had a school project which they looked after and incubated a bunch of eggs from a farm. And they said, "Oh, does anyone want to, get some chickens for their house?" And because my family, especially my dad, grew up on a farm actually, in a pretty small town, he had experience looking after chickens, so we said, "Fuck it, why not?" So yeah, we had 3 chickens in the back of my house in London, in North London, and it was the kind of joke between our friends that we used to play games with that my chickens would always wake me up with that, and he just decided to include that, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that's where there's chicken in there.
That's great, man.
Yeah, they all went to shit though. The chickens are not made for London.
What? You didn't eat the chicken?
Bro, of course not. But they weren't doing well with the sound and shit, so we gave them to another farm.
So if any of you have got the pancake recipe on your receipt, then you have got eggs from Helly's chicken. There you go. There's the story behind that. All right. Well, listen, on that absolute bombshell of news of Helly looking after fowl at home, I think we'll call it a night, boys and girls. So
Man, these AMAs vote so much.
Yeah, we're really scraping the barrel now. But listen, everybody, I said we really appreciate all of you. Appreciate you sticking with us through. This project's been through a hell of a lot, and we're coming out the other side of it now. And hopefully, you guys will net the rewards that come with it. So big love to everybody, and we'll get another AMA sorted out probably in 2 to 3 weeks' time. Once we've got these, these miners start coming online, and we'll be able to give you guys a comprehensive update on operations. We should have a bit more news on the second site in North Carolina and the progress with Texas as well. So cool. I think that's it. Goodbye from me. Goodbye from them. Bye to you.
Good
Thanks,
morning, good
everybody.
evening, good night.
Bye
Good night.
bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.